Hi friends, thanks so much for tuning into my channel. I was inspired today by this open jar of sauce. So here we are. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I have an open jar of sauce. It's just oil-free marinara that we use for our pizza night, and I have the majority of it left over and I needed to do something with it. So I was inspired to make some pizza fries, and I think they're going to be so delicious. So I wanted to bring you along with me, and I will show you how I make them. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Actually, let's not get right into it. So I figured I should probably give you a little bit of background about what I'm doing here. So if you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Sam. I follow a whole food plant-based vegan diet. It is completely oil-free, and I'm doing this for health and hopefully some healthy weight loss along the way. It's been slow and steady, and I feel better than I have in a very long time. So I am taking you along with me on this journey, and tonight I'm showing you what I'm eating for dinner and how I kind of think things through as I'm cooking, like looking in my fridge and deciding what we're going to eat. Most of the time my meals are super simple. If you watched my what I eat in a day videos, you can see like a lot of repetition of my meals. And tonight I decided to do something special since I have this jar of sauce, which I keep throwing in your face. So basically what I'm going to be doing is making some oil-free fries as a base. And then I have the sauce. I'm going to make some of my cashew cheese, which is a higher fat thing. So that's going to be my fat item for this meal. I always like to incorporate some aspect of fat just to make sure I'm satiated and I'm getting the healthy fats that I need in my diet. So it's going to be this cashew cheese sauce on the top. And then to make it even more low calorie density, so it's not just sauce and cheese, we're going to put a ton of vegetables in here. So I'm going to do a quick saute of peppers, onions, and I think I have portobello mushrooms in my fridge. So that's basically what it's going to be. And then, oh, one more thing. So I just made, recently, just this week, I made some homemade tempeh. And I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with homemade tempeh, but it is so much better than the store-bought stuff. Like once you have this, you're just, the store-bought tempeh is just not going to do it for you anymore. So I have this homemade tempeh, and I'm going to use it as a protein aspect for this, and I'm going to turn it into like a sausagey style thing, which I'll show you how I do it. So let's get going. Okay, so we're going to start by prepping the cheese sauce. So this is a cheese sauce recipe that you can find on my blog. I'll post the recipe here as well. It is a half a cup of cashews. Start with a half cup of cashews and then 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Like I was saying, I could make this cheese sauce a bit lower calorie density by using like a silken tofu or adding some like cauliflower or something into it. But for this, I'm just going to enjoy it as it is. I'm not going to use a ton of it. My husband really likes this recipe or this cheese sauce, so I'll let him enjoy most of it. That was a tablespoon of miso that I just added. I'm going to add a tablespoon of arrowroot powder. We're going to cook this up to make it kind of gooey before we eat, and we'll do that. That's the last thing that we'll do so that it'll be nice and fresh. That was a tablespoon of arrowroot powder, and then we're going to add in about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and we're going to add in 3/4 cup of water, and we're going to blend it up. So it's going to look really thin and liquidy right now, but we're going to like simmer it on the stove for a few minutes, and it thickens up and gets nice and gooey and delicious. So this will be the perfect topping for our fries. So there is the base for our cheese sauce. Super easy to throw together. And I'm going to put this on the stove, and we're not going to cook it yet until the very end. Okay, so I just put 2 pounds of potatoes in my microwave steamer. I like my meals to be quick, easy, fast, and simple. So I'm making my life a little bit easier, and I'm making my dinner a little bit faster by microwaving these before I turn them into fries and bake them. So I'm going to put these in the microwave for about 7 or 8 minutes until they're basically all the way or mostly cooked, and then I'm going to chop them into fries and bake them. All right, I'm gonna create the marinade for my tempeh sausage. So this is just some vegan beef bouillon that I'm going to whisk up in some warm water. And then I'm gonna add in a ton of seasonings into this, and then I'm gonna crumble the tempeh in here and let it sit until we're ready to cook it up. We're doing garlic, so probably about a half a teaspoon of garlic, a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Oh, no, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, I lied. And then we're going to do some, ooh, too much. We're doing some fennel seeds because this is what gives it that sausagey feeling. And I like mine spicy, so I'm adding red pepper flakes. You can leave that out if you don't like spice. We're going to give that a little whisk, a little whiskey whisk. And you know what? I'm actually going to add in a little bit of, hold on. We're going to add a splash of tamari to this as well because sausage is salty. And then I'm going to take our fresh tempeh and I'm just going to crumple it up in there. This is going to soak up, oops, no. This is going to soak up all the flavor of the sausage and it's going to be so delish. I'm going to do about 6-ish ounces of tempeh for 2 people for this recipe. Obviously, you can use store-bought tempeh for this as well. It smells so good right now. I wish you could smell this. It's like, you know, spices are your friend when it comes to cooking this way. Using probably more spices than what you think you need. Herbs and spices are going to make your food so flavorful and tasty, and you just do it. Just go with a heavy hand. It's so good. Okay, so I'm going to chop up all these veggies. You can see there's 3 peppers, 4 portobello mushrooms, and onion and some garlic. We're going to saute this up with tons of seasonings, and this is for 2 people. So you can see the volume of vegetables that I am going to be eating. Half of this is for me, and honestly, it's probably more like 3/4 of it is for me, and 1/4 of it is for my husband because I really like to load up on those veggies. So I'm starting off with the onions and the mushrooms in this pan, and I'm gonna put it over low heat with a little sprinkle of salt and cover it up and let this cook down until they start to soften. So my mushrooms were a little on the old side and they didn't release a lot of liquid here. So I'm adding water. You could also use tamari, or you can also use vegetable broth. They're both good options to use when you're water sauteing or not using oil to cook. But for today, I'm already going to be adding a ton of other spices and some other salt. So I'm just going to use water to help this get going a little bit more. So I'm going to cook this down for a few more minutes so that it can get extra soft. I really want these to be cooked really well before I add in the peppers because I like the peppers to be not smushy when I go to eat them. All right, well, that finishes cooking. We're going to cut these potatoes, and they are not cool to the touch. But like I said, I'm impatient. So I'm going to just go for it and hope that I still have some fingertips when I'm done. Let's chop up these hot potatoes and get them in the oven. I'm going to put them on convection bake at 400. First, I'm going to sprinkle them probably with a little bit of garlic salt. Just keep it really simple. And we're going to bake them until they look crispy and like I want to eat them. You could eat them like this. Obviously, they are cooked all the way through. But I do want to try to get a little bit of crispiness on them for this. But honestly, it's going to be delicious either way. I can eat potatoes right out of the microwave like this. So we're giving our crumbly potatoes a good sprinkle of some garlic salt. I'm running low. Honestly, these crumbly bits are what's going to get even more crispy in the oven, and they're probably going to be the best parts. Okay, so spreading this all out so they can get nice and crispy in the oven, and we're going to put them in there to bake, probably like 20 minutes-ish, but We're gonna find out. Let's go. Take some garlic and we're gonna crush that into here. You could also just use garlic powder. I actually will probably end up using both. So I just had this, oops. I had this sitting here needing to get used, this garlic, so it's going in. So I got garlic. I'm gonna put in garlic powder. I like things garlicky. I also like things spicy, so I'm gonna add a little red pepper flakes to this as well. And then we're gonna add in a whole bunch of Italian seasonings. Like I said, we're going heavy on the spices. Give this a quick mix, and then we're gonna add our peppers and let that cook. Oh, and we're also gonna add in some salt. Just a touch. And some pepper. Spices make our food taste good without having to add in extra fat. So we're going heavy-handed on those spices, and we're adding in all of our peppers. And this is looking like it is a tiny bit on the dry side. So before I cover this to steam, I'm going to add in a little bit more water. Put the lid on and let that cook up, and we will revisit that soon. So the potatoes have been in the oven for about 20 minutes now, and I'm going to put in the tempeh to bake and get crispy for like 10 minutes, and then our meal should basically be done. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to warm up. I'm going to warm up the sauce. I'm going to warm up the sauce on the stove so that that's hot for our toppings, and I'm going to thicken up our cheese sauce, and that's going to be the last thing. We'll just put it all together. It'll be super delicious. Okay, so our cheese sauce we blended up. I just put it over medium heat, and we're going to stir this and let it come to a quick simmer. And once it's simmering, it will change texture and be almost like a gooey cheese sauce. So let's watch it happen. All right, so it's starting to thicken up, and it's going to feel really weird and clumpy as you're stirring it. Just keep going, keep stirring, and it'll get nice and smooth. And the second it turns nice and smooth, then you're done. Smoothing out a little bit, it's thickening up. Keep going. As it thickens, the clumps kind of dissolve in there, and it gets nice and gooey. And then we're going to turn off the heat so that it doesn't keep cooking. We're just going to stir it a little bit more to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then that's how we get our cheese sauce. So you can see how nice and thick that is now. This is going to be the perfect consistency to put over top of our pizza potatoes. So everything is done, and we are about to assemble our plates. So we have our potatoes, our tempeh sausage that looks super delish, and then our sautéed vegetables, and our cheese sauce, and our tomato sauce. Let's build. I am so excited to dig into these pizza fries. They are going to be so tasty, and they're completely oil-free, whole food plant-based, and 100% delicious. Just so you can appreciate the full size of this meal that I'm about to dig into, here you go. It's like bigger than my head, and I am so excited. It's going to be so delicious, and I'm only going to chat for a second because I want to eat it while it's hot. So we got those potatoes, tons of non-starchy vegetables that I loaded up on there so that I'm going to be extra full. I got my tempeh for protein. I got a little bit of the cashew cheese on the top for some fat and just deliciousness to put this like way over the top. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be so good. I'm going to eat it right now. Okay. It's so good. It's so good. I think I'm going to give it a little sprinkle of nooch on top, maybe a little bit more red pepper flakes. Excuse me, sorry. And I'm definitely going to need a fork to dig into this. but it's gonna be so good. Let me get one of these peppers. Mmm, so good. The herbs, like loading on those herbs, totally make a difference. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You definitely have to try this. Super easy. Only a few little steps that you have to do. Toss everything into the oven, saute a little bit on the stove. I mean, this is much more fancy than I typically do, but it's a Sunday night. I wasn't doing much, and I had that sauce, and this just sounded so good, and it is so good. So, yeah. Okay, friends, I'm going to go dig into this. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so you never miss another video. And I hope you make this or something like it. It's so good. Perfect for weight loss, completely whole food plant-based, and just, tasty. And that's like one of the most important things, right? Because why eat food that you don't like? You only live once, but you should do it healthily, but also eat food that you like. So yeah. Okay. All right. Bye.